Humans on the cardboard, Gusto needs so much help. But I do think it could be on the verge here. There's a lot of reasons to believe that Gusto could end up being one of the archetypes supported in Terminal World. I've been doing a lot of discussion videos talking about Terminal World. You guys seem to like it. So let's continue on that path. One low-key thing I want to throw out there before we actually continue on with the Gusto talk, though, I think I missed this, but when Terminal World came out and we first got the first wave of support for Ice Barrier and Infernoid like a week and a half ago, I did not realize that we were like a month or 2.5 months away from that set coming out in the OCG. I thought we were like a month and a half and we were about to move into like a month left, which meant we were going to get the next couple things revealed. I low-key think that this might be possible that we actually get another Ice Barrier and Infernoid card, or maybe two. We see this all the time with the structure decks, where like, okay, it's support for an archetype, but they start with like 4 cards at once, then they get another 2 or 3, and then they get like one final card 2 weeks before the set comes out. Stuff like that. Now, I don't think we're going to get 8 cards of support for all of these archetypes, especially since there's 4 different ones, but I do think because those got revealed so early, 2.5 months before the set comes out, there is definitely a possibility that each of those archetypes gets like one more card. We also see it with like the deck build packs. They'll reveal the entire archetype except one last card. They save that last card for right before the set comes out to kind of reinvigorate anybody who was like maybe had forgotten about the set or whatever. I do think that's a possibility. I'm not saying you should bank on it because Konami has not given any information guaranteeing how many cards are going for each archetype, but I felt like that was something interesting to throw your way. But today we're talking about Gusto. There's a couple reasons to believe why Gusto should be in here. A couple years ago, Konami did a structure deck poll, and Gusto actually performed pretty well on it. They actually placed pretty high. So Konami already knows that Gusto's like actually like low-key a fan favorite archetype from at least the decks they had in that poll. On top of that, a lot of people have pointed out that because the first 2 archetypes out of 4 are Fire archetype in Infernoid and Water archetype in Ice Barrier, means that they may be going for like a elements kind of like set where fire, water, earth, wind, fire, water, earth, wind. So we're missing earth and wind. This would be the wind archetype, obviously. So a couple reasons that kind of back that up. Other than that, we need to look at what Gustos have because, man, they don't have a lot. They need to be very, very pushed almost to the level that the Ice Barrier stuff is at. But yeah, let's talk about what they do have at the very least and get into that. So first off, let's start with the birds. This deck is all about having like a couple of cute green-haired guys and girls, as well as a bunch of green birds and animals. Yeah, that's what they do. Anyway, Gusto Falco is the first card that I thought was somewhat interesting. When this face-up card in the field is sent to the graveyard except by battle, you can special summon a Gusto from your deck in face-down defense position. That sounds really good, but this is something that this archetype does because it's one of those old archetypes before, Link summoning and stuff kind of came out. But when these cards are used for inherent summons, I believe they don't trigger if they're a when effect, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I believe I believe some of them can miss timing because it says when, not if. I think this can miss timing at times. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe some of them do, and I think Falco may be one of those. But an effect that like destroys him, if you have your own effect that like pops a card on your own field, Falco can then trigger and get you a free body from the deck, stuff like that. Gusto Griffin, one of the better ones, because he says if this card is sent from the hand to your graveyard, you can special summon a Gusto monster from your deck. This one's pretty damn good, actually, because it just summons any Gusto. That's pretty nice. From there, I move to Goldo. Goldo says when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon a level 2 or lower Gusto from your deck. Again, pretty good, but it has that when text, so I think it can miss timing. It's weird. I hate that that's even like a thing that's possible, and then it just makes the game so much more complicated. Next up is Gusto Vidir. If a face-up Gusto monster on the field is destroyed by battle or sent to your graveyard, you can special summon this card from the hand. That's pretty good, because that just means like you could synchro one off, link one off, and then boom, this card jumps out, which is cool, which could also chain block stuff, potentially. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a Gusto monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can special summon a Gusto monster from your hand. That's also really good. On top of it being a level 3 tuner, this guy is actually one of the better cards in the archetype. I could see this guy coming up for sure in the deck. Definitely get. This guy's actually giving me, actually like low key, like knockoff Salamangreat Gazelle vibes, right? It's like worse Salamangreat Gazelle, but like still could be a decent card because Gazelle's like kind of wild. Gusto Squirrel. When this card's destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon a level 5 or higher Gusto from deck. This one's a little less good ones. It's probably because he's not a bird, but he is very cute. You have to destroy him by a card effect, but it's any card effect, not just your opponent, so you can pop him yourself and get a summon from deck. That could be a thing. We'll see. And as far as like the guys and girls that actually matter for the main deck, there's only 2 of them in my opinion. Kamui, who's like arguably not even good anyway. He's a flip monster, special summon a Gusto tuner monster from your deck. We would definitely need better tuners or more support to help flip him way easier, but I think the game may be a little bit too fast for him anyway. But, you know, we've seen Subterra Guru be good, and this card does kind of push your engine, so that's something. And the last one, this is like actually the one that's like actually decent. If this card's when this card's normal or special, you can target a wind tuner in your grave, special summon it in defense. Its effects are negated, and if you activate this effect, you're locked into winds until the end of the turn. So this could actually be a pretty good combo piece. Something you summon out later in the turn to just help you synchro climb is actually pretty good. I actually like the artworks on these a lot. They're pretty cool looking, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, and then for the only spell or trap that I think actually matters at this point that the deck has is Tailwind of Gusto. This is a weird one. This card actually has a ton going on. It can only equip to a Gusto. The equipped monster cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, so actually decent little protection on there. And then you can only use the falling effect once per turn. So you can banish this card from your graveyard and discard a wind monster to add a Gusto spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So actually not even a terrible graveyard effect. You do have to trade 2 for 1 kind of. Actually, no, you kind of just replace a card in your hand with a Gusto spell or trap. So because this is the only like decent one right now, I could actually see a world where if we get multiple good other Gusto spell or traps, that could actually be huge with this card. But the other thing is you can activate this effect based on the level or rank of the equipped monster. If it's equipped to a 4 or lower, you can just special summon a Gusto from your deck with a different type. Now, that does like lock you out of some things, but like because most of the deck is Wing Beast, most of the best monsters in the deck are Wing Beast, but like that means you can just summon Pillic out of the deck, and if you already had a tuner engraved, this card just revives the tuner. It's actually pretty good like that. And if it's on a 5 or higher, you can just special summon any level 1 tuner from your deck. So weird, but like, okay. This card's actually low-key crazy. It gives a little bit of protection, it gives you a search from grave, and then it just has like 2 emergency teleport effects, depending on what you want to do. It's actually really crazy. So I like this card a lot. Actually, this card's pretty crazy for the deck. We'll see. And then for the extract monsters, it's kind of a shame that this is the only good like Gusto spell or trap. Okay, into the extra deck, you have your Daigusto monsters. The first one is Lapland Pilica. If this card's synchro summoned, you can special summon a Gusto from hand and one from deck, but their effects are negated. Then you immediately synchro summon using those 2 monsters. But you cannot summon for the rest of the turn except winds. So you're locked into winds, but being able to just like tutor 2 straight out of the deck in hand are actually pretty good. That's actually not bad at all. And it's a 6, so it's pretty easy to make. Next up, you have Daigusto Guldos. Once per turn, you can shuffle 2 Gusto monsters from your grave into the main deck to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it. It's not insane, but it is a 5, so I could like see a world where like if the deck gets engine cards that really push how hard the deck's able to like spam, then like this does help as far as like playing into boards, as well as like if you're going to synchro climb anyway, maybe this is a card you can make while you're synchro climbing, and then you're just also getting a free pop along the way. There's definitely value to that. The last like synchro that I think matters is Freeze. This girl is cool. She's another 6. When this card's synchro summoned, you can target 1 Gusto card in your graveyard, add it back to the hand, and your opponent takes any battle damage from battles involving a Gusto you control, and this card can't be destroyed by battle. So it's kind of an annoying like Mikanko-esque card, but you just get a card back for free. So kind of in the same vein as like this one, whereas this is a good like synchro climbing tool going second to break boards. This is a good synchro climbing tool going first to just get free Gusto cards like back to hand, just good hand advantage. And the last thing I'll mention here is Emerald. I don't expect this deck would make him all that often. He's more of just a generic card, but technically he's a Gusto, and he's a pretty good card. He was on the ban list at one point, so it is what it is. So that's all the cards that I think like actually matter for Gusto so far in their archetype. I didn't make a list of like out of archetype cards that I think super matter, but there's definitely some generic like win stuff. This deck locks you into wins, so anything like good win synchro wise like Barone definitely could be solid. And I'm sure there are other engines that could definitely like jump in here as well. But of course we need to see what the new cards would even be before we even like theorize any of that. So I think it's a cool deck. I think a couple of things missing from this deck for sure are a starter and consistency. This deck came out in a time where like you could totally just like set monsters and pass and play a slow game, especially if all your monsters float when they like leave the field. Not that this deck was ever really good, but at least like you could say it did something. It was like fast enough back in the day. That's not going to fly now. The deck needs a starter. The deck needs like a legit monster that like when it's, you know, when you see it, it allows you to like facilitate plays. It really doesn't have a single one just yet. The deck doesn't have a ton of consistency either. There's no searcher. There's like that spell that summons one from deck, which I guess is fine, but that's more of an extender than a starter, I would argue. So we're in a weird spot. They have some tools. They have some like combo pieces. They have some like sort of extenders, but they need a lot. They don't have really a great payoff either. That would probably be the other thing, is give them some kind of payoff to end on. Something that feels strong that you can end on going first. Or super push them for going second, one or the other. But they're missing those like key tools that like a lot of decks actually end up having those, but don't have like the resiliency kind of thing. Like they'll have a starter, they'll have like consistency cards, but then they just won't have like the payoff. I think Zephyr kind of falls into that category. Zephyr has like so much consistency. They have the Zephyrath, but they just like can't play through anything. They just lose to like one interruption if it's the right kind of interruption. So I think this deck is like the opposite. It needs the starters, it needs the consistency, and it needs a payoff. It just doesn't have a payoff either. So hopefully we get something like that if they get chosen. I honestly think if Konami is going for that elemental aspect, it's going to be between Gusto and Ritual Beast. So let me know if you want me to do a video for Ritual Beast as well, talking about what they have and what I think they're missing that Konami would want to focus on in the type of support they'd give them. But still cool to see. There's a lot of cool open options there. I hope Konami comes through and at least whoever gets chosen gets the kind of support to actually at least make any of these decks that get chosen like Rogue at worst. Because then otherwise the support's just not even interesting at all to me. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm out of here for today. I've rambled enough at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below if you're a big Gusto fan and you maybe know more about the deck. I've really never super visited the deck because it's never really been super playable during my time in the game. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you would want to see if you're a seasoned Gusto fan, whatever. I'd love to hear your more informed thoughts and opinions on that stuff. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more stuff from me down the line. I'll see you in the next one. We should be getting a lot of Phantom Nightmare news in the next week to 3 weeks. Very excited for that. I'll see you later though. Bruce.